How to Stay Motivated Every Day, written and published by Audiobook. The Power of Daily Motivation. Why it matters more than you think. Motivation is the fuel that turns vision into action. It's the invisible force that drives you to pursue your goals, push past resistance, and keep going when the world says stop. Yet for most people, motivation is treated like a random spark, something that shows up when conditions are perfect and disappears when life gets hard. This is why so many dreams fade. The truth is, motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you build every single day. And once you understand how it works, you'll never rely on willpower alone again. Staying motivated daily is not about hype or empty enthusiasm. It's about designing your mindset, habits, and environment to make consistent action feel natural. It's about creating a system that fuels you even on the days you don't feel like showing up. When you master daily motivation, you unlock a level of consistency that most people never reach. You stop starting over. You stop procrastinating. And most importantly, you start seeing results. Not because you're always inspired, but because you've built a life that moves forward even when inspiration is low. Motivation is a muscle, not a mood. Most people think motivation is an emotion, something that comes and goes depending on how you feel. But motivation is more like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Waiting to feel motivated before you take action is like waiting to get in shape before you go to the gym. You don't wait, you act, and the action creates the feeling. This shift in perspective is critical. Motivation is not a gift that some people have and others don't. It's a skill that anyone can develop through repetition and discipline. And like any skill, it requires daily practice. The most successful people don't wake up every day bursting with motivation. They have days when they feel tired, discouraged, or uninspired, just like everyone else. The difference is, they know how to generate motivation on demand. They've trained themselves to act first, and let the emotion follow. This is how momentum is built, and momentum is the most powerful motivator of all. Build a clear and compelling why. The foundation of lasting motivation is purpose. Without a clear reason to act, no amount of tricks, hacks, or external rewards will sustain your drive. If you want to stay motivated every day, you must define why your goals matter deeply to you. Ask yourself, what's at stake if I don't follow through? What will my life look like if I achieve this? Who else will benefit from my success? Your why should be emotional, not just logical. It should light a fire in you. Maybe you want to create financial freedom for your family. Maybe you're tired of living below your potential. Maybe you want to prove to yourself that you're capable of more. Whatever it is, anchor it in your heart. Because when your purpose is powerful, discipline becomes easy. Write your why down. Read it every morning. Visualize the life you're building. The stronger the emotional connection, the harder it becomes to quit. Set small daily wins to build momentum. Motivation thrives on progress. The reason many people lose drive is because their goals feel too distant. When the finish line seems far away, it's easy to lose focus. The solution is to create small, achievable daily wins that build momentum and give you a sense of progress every single day. Instead of trying to overhaul your life overnight, break big goals into daily actions. Want to write a book? Commit to writing 300 words a day. Want to get fit? Focus on 20 minutes of exercise, not 2 hours. Want to grow a business? Make one meaningful move forward each day. These daily wins create positive reinforcement. Every time you check off a small task, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation and reward. This builds a loop. Progress fuels motivation, and motivation fuels more progress. Over time, small actions compound into massive results. Use environment to your advantage. Your environment shapes your behavior more than willpower ever could. If your surroundings make it easy to procrastinate, your motivation will constantly battle against resistance. But if your environment is designed to support your goals, motivation becomes almost automatic. Audit your surroundings. Remove distractions that derail your focus. Keep tools and resources for action within easy reach. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals and why. Spend time with people who challenge and inspire you. Even simple changes like laying out your workout clothes the night before or creating a dedicated workspace can dramatically increase your daily motivation. Make your environment work for you, not against you. Build rituals, not just routines. Routines are habits, things you do consistently. Rituals are habits with meaning. They connect your daily actions to your deeper purpose. When you ritualize your actions, motivation becomes part of your identity, not just your schedule. For example, when your actions are tied to a deeper purpose, they stop feeling like chores and start feeling like commitments. And commitment is stronger than motivation. It's the force that keeps you moving even when motivation dips. The 5-minute rule: beat procrastination before it starts. One of the biggest killers of motivation is overthinking. We tell ourselves we're not ready, that we'll do it tomorrow, or that we need to wait for the perfect time. The longer we wait, the harder it becomes to. That's why one of the most powerful motivation tools is the 5-minute rule. Commit to doing a task for just 5 minutes. Often the hardest part of any task is simply starting, but once you begin, momentum takes over and motivation follows. 5 minutes of action can turn into 30, 60 or more. And even if it doesn't, you've still built a small win. Consistency, not intensity, is the key to daily motivation. Final reflection: motivation is built, not found. The reason most people struggle to stay motivated is because they believe motivation is something that just happens. But it's not. It's built through purpose, environment, daily action, and mindset. It's a result of discipline, not a replacement for it. You don't need to wake up inspired every day. You just need to wake up and move. The more you move, the more momentum you build. And the more momentum you build, the easier it becomes to keep going, even when life gets tough. Motivation isn't magic. It's a skill. And once you master it, there's nothing you can't achieve. The mindset shift from motivation to discipline. Most people chase motivation as if it's the key to success. They believe that if they can just feel motivated, they'll finally take action. But the people who actually achieve big things in life know a deeper truth. Discipline is more powerful than motivation. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is emotional, discipline is strategic. Motivation fades, discipline endures. If you rely only on motivation, you'll always be at the mercy of your mood. On good days, you'll take action. On bad days, you'll procrastinate. But when you shift your mindset from needing motivation to building discipline, your progress no longer depends on how you feel. It depends on who you decide to be. This is one of the most important lessons about staying motivated every day. Don't aim to always feel motivated. Aim to act regardless of motivation. Once you adopt this mindset, your daily actions become inevitable, not optional. Create a non-negotiable standard. Winners don't wait for the right mood to take action. They create standards for themselves, rules they follow no matter how they feel. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't ask yourself if you're motivated to do it, you just do it. That's the level of commitment you need if you want motivation to become second nature. Your daily actions should become non-negotiable. For example, a writer doesn't wait for inspiration. They write 500 words every day. A business owner doesn't wait for excitement. They make calls every morning. A person focused on health doesn't wait for the perfect mood. They train on schedule. This shift turns your habits into identity. You stop seeing tasks as things you should do and start seeing them as things you do because that's who you are. And when your actions align with your identity, motivation becomes a natural byproduct. Build a morning momentum routine. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you wake up aimlessly, scrolling your phone, reacting to notifications, rushing through your morning, your motivation will feel scattered and weak. But if you begin each day with purpose and intentional action, you create momentum that carries you forward. A powerful way to do this is by designing a morning momentum routine, a series of small actions that prime your mind, body, and focus for the day. It doesn't have to be complicated. Here's an example of a 30-minute motivation-boosting routine. Edify mindset. 5 min. Read or listen to something inspiring. Fuel your mind with positive input. Movement. 10 min. Stretch, walk or exercise. Physical motion triggers mental energy. Vision. 5 min. Review your goals and visualize achieving them. Connect with your why. Action 10 Min. Do one small task that moves a goal forward before anything else. Starting your day this way does more than boost motivation. It builds momentum, and momentum is what turns ordinary days into productive ones. The science of dopamine, motivation's secret fuel. If motivation is the engine that drives action, dopamine is the fuel that powers it. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in your brain that's responsible for motivation, reward, and focus. Every time you achieve something, even a small task, your brain releases dopamine, which makes you want to repeat the behavior. The mistake many people make is waiting for a big reward before they feel motivated. But high achievers understand that motivation grows when you create a cycle of small wins. Instead of aiming for huge goals all at once, break them into daily milestones and celebrate each victory. For example, after finishing a workout, acknowledge your discipline. After completing a work task, give yourself a moment of gratitude. This isn't about becoming addicted to rewards. It's about training your brain to associate progress with pleasure. When you do that, motivation stops being something you chase and starts being something your brain naturally seeks. Eliminate motivation killers from your life. Sometimes staying motivated isn't about adding more, it's about removing what drains you. The truth is, most people's motivation doesn't disappear overnight. It's slowly eroded by daily habits, environments, and distractions that chip away at their focus and drive. Here are common motivation killers, and how to eliminate them. Defend clutter. A messy environment creates a messy mind. Simplify your space. Negative people. Surround yourself with those who inspire growth, not doubt. Defend unclear priorities. When everything feels urgent, nothing feels important. Get clear on what truly matters. Perfectionism. Waiting for perfect conditions delays action. Progress beats perfection every time. Comparison. Focus on your lane. Comparing yourself to others kills your internal motivation. Clearing these motivation blockers can feel like lifting invisible weights from your shoulders. Once they're gone, your natural drive becomes easier to sustain. Anchor your motivation to identity. The most powerful form of motivation isn't external, it's internal. It's not about rewards, praise, or fear of failure. It's about who you believe you are. When your actions reflect your identity, motivation becomes effortless. Instead of saying, "I want to be a disciplined person," say, "I am a disciplined person." Instead of thinking, "I hope I stay consistent," affirm, "I am the type of person who shows up every day." This shift might sound subtle, but it's transformative. Your brain is wired to stay consistent with your identity. If you identify as someone who follows through, you'll naturally act in alignment with that belief. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll unconsciously sabotage your own effort. Build an identity that matches the life you want, and let that identity drive your motivation. When someone else knows your goals, expects updates, or shares the journey with you, your commitment skyrockets. There are several ways to build accountability. Accountability partners. Share your goals with a friend and check in weekly. Public commitments. Announce your intentions online or to a group. Coaches and mentors. Invest in someone who will hold you to a higher standard. Accountability doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger. It turns motivation from a personal struggle into a shared mission. Reflection. Progress over perfection. If there's one truth about motivation most people miss, it's this: you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep moving. Motivation thrives on momentum, and momentum doesn't require flawless effort. It requires consistent effort. You will have days when motivation feels high and days when it feels low. That's normal. What matters is that you show up anyway. Every small action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. And over time, those votes add up to unshakable motivation. The difference between people who dream and people who achieve is simple. Achievers act every single day, no matter what. And so can you. Master the power of purpose. The most sustainable source of motivation isn't hype, rewards, or external pressure. It's purpose. When you know why you're doing something, you gain access to a deeper level of energy that doesn't fade when things get hard. Purpose makes discipline easier. Purpose makes sacrifice meaningful. Purpose makes effort feel like progress. If your motivation feels weak, it's usually because your why isn't strong enough or clear enough. Most people say they want to be successful, but they haven't defined what success actually means to them. They want more money, but they don't know what they'd use it for. They want freedom, but they haven't clarified what kind of life they build with it. To strengthen your purpose, ask yourself these powerful questions. How will achieving it change my life and the lives of those I care about? Who am I becoming by pursuing it? What would it cost me not to achieve it? The clearer and more emotional your purpose becomes, the harder it will be to quit. Motivation rooted in purpose doesn't evaporate. It grows stronger with every challenge. Create a compelling vision for your future. A purpose is your reason, but a vision is your destination. It's the vivid picture of the life you're working toward, and it's one of the most powerful motivators you can build. Think of your vision as a mental movie of your future. Where are you living? What does your day look like? How do you feel when you wake up? Who are you surrounded by? How do you contribute to the world? The more specific and detailed this vision becomes, the more your brain begins to treat it as something real. And when that happens, your actions start aligning with it almost automatically. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it's mental programming. Here's a simple daily practice. Spend 5 minutes each morning, vividly imagining your future self living your dream life. Feel the emotions, see the details, and remind yourself that every action today is a step toward that vision. Motivation doesn't come from the present, it comes from the future you're building. Reverse engineer your big goals. One of the biggest motivation killers is overwhelm. You set a massive goal, get excited about it, but then quickly lose steam because it feels too far away. The solution is to reverse engineer it, break it down into smaller achievable steps that create a clear path forward. Start with your big vision, then ask, what would I need to achieve this year to be on track? Next, break that into monthly milestones, then weekly target. Finally, daily actions. For example, if your goal is to write a book, big goal, write a 60,000-word book. Yearly goal, complete it in 12 months. Monthly goal, write 5,000 words per month. Weekly goal, 1,250 words. Daily action, 250 words per day. Suddenly, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, and each small step completed boosts your motivation to keep going. Progress, even tiny progress, is the most powerful fuel you can create. Use the 5-minute rule to beat procrastination. Procrastination is one of the biggest enemies of motivation, but here's a powerful mental trick used by high performers: the 5-minute rule. The idea is simple. When you feel resistance to starting something, commit to doing it for just 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll work on it for 5 minutes, and if I still don't want to continue, I can stop. What happens most of the time is remarkable. Once you start, the resistance melts away, and you keep going. This works because motivation often follows action, not the other way around. If you wait to feel motivated before acting, you'll often do nothing. But if you act first, motivation catches up. Use this technique whenever you're stuck. Write for 5 minutes. Work out for 5 minutes. Clean for 5 minutes. And you'll be amazed at how often momentum takes over. Gamify your progress. Your brain is wired to respond to progress and rewards. That's why turning your goals into a game can significantly boost your motivation. Gamification is about creating visible markers of achievement and small rewards that keep you engaged. Here are a few simple ways to gamify your journey. Streak tracking. Use a calendar or app to mark every day you take action. Seeing your streak grow becomes motivating. Points system. Assign points to tasks. 10 points for a workout, 20 points for finishing a project, and set rewards for reaching certain scores. Levels and milestones. Break big goals into levels and celebrate each one as you progress. This approach works because it turns the journey itself into something enjoyable. Instead of waiting for motivation to appear, you create it through progress and feedback loops. Harness the power of why not me. One powerful mindset that can ignite motivation is a simple question: why not me? Too many people look at successful individuals and think they're somehow different, smarter, luckier, more talented. But the truth is, every person who has achieved greatness started exactly where you are, with uncertainty, doubt and fear. The difference is they decided to try. They believed they were capable of growth. They took action even when they weren't sure of the outcome. Adopt the same mentality. The next time you doubt yourself, replace "I can't" with "Why not?" Why shouldn't you build the business, write the book, change your life, or achieve that dream? This question shifts your focus from limitations to possibilities, and possibilities fuel motivation. Redefine failure as feedback. Fear of failure is one of the biggest reasons motivation fades. The moment something goes wrong, many people give up, believing they're not capable. But high achievers view failure differently, not as a verdict on their worth, but as feedback for growth. Every setback teaches you something valuable about what doesn't work. Every obstacle builds resilience. Every mistake sharpens your approach. When you embrace this mindset, you stop fearing failure and start using it as a tool for progress. Thomas Edison famously said, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset you need to stay motivated through challenges, not seeing them as signs to stop, but as signals to adapt and improve. Motivation grows when you do. Here's the truth most people don't realize. Motivation is not a gift you're given. It's a skill you build. And like any skill, it strengthens with practice. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your motivation. Every time you act on your goals despite doubt, you strengthen your motivation. Every time you refuse to quit, you strengthen your motivation. The more you grow, the easier motivation becomes. It stops being something you chase and starts being something you are. And that's when you truly unlock the ability to stay motivated, not just sometimes, but every single day. Build systems that support motivation. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to stay motivated is relying solely on willpower. Willpower is powerful, but it's limited. It's like a battery that drains over the day. The most successful people don't depend on willpower. They build systems that make motivation automatic. A system is a structure that makes the right action the easy action. It's a process that keeps you moving forward even on days when you don't feel like it. For example, if you're trying to work out every morning, lay out your clothes and prepare your gear the night before. If you want to write a book, block out a specific time each day for writing and remove distractions. If you want to eat healthier, don't buy junk food. Make your environment support your goal. The point is to design your environment and daily routines so that action becomes frictionless. Motivation becomes much easier when success is built into your surroundings and schedule. Create motivation anchors in your environment. Your environment is constantly influencing your motivation, often in ways you don't even realize. Certain sights, sounds, or places can either drain your energy or ignite your drive. You can use this to your advantage by creating motivation anchors, cues in your environment that trigger action. Here's how. Set up your workspace to reflect focus and clarity, clean, organized, and inspiring. Play music or sounds that boost your energy before you work. These small environmental cues act as triggers for your motivation. Over time, your brain begins to associate certain places, objects, or routines with taking action. When you step into that environment, motivation becomes automatic. Use micro-commitments to build consistency. When motivation is low, starting can feel overwhelming, but there's a psychological trick that makes it much easier. Micro-commitments. Instead of focusing on the full task, commit to doing just the first tiny step. If you don't feel like going to the gym, commit to putting on your workout clothes. If writing feels daunting, commit to writing just one sentence. If a big project feels overwhelming, commit to working on it for 5 minutes. Once you start, momentum often takes over and you naturally do more. This is known as the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains dislike unfinished tasks and push us to complete them. The hardest part of any task is starting, and micro-commitments make starting easy. Remember this rule: action creates motivation, not the other way around. Taking even the smallest step builds momentum, and momentum sustains motivation. If you spend your time around people who complain, procrastinate, and make excuses, you'll unconsciously adopt the same behaviors. But if you surround yourself with people who are disciplined, ambitious and purpose-driven, their energy becomes contagious. You'll feel inspired to rise to their level. You'll adopt better habits, think bigger, and push yourself further. Here's a simple principle. Proximity is power. If you want to stay motivated, spend time with people who are already living with the discipline and drive you want. Join communities, mastermind groups, or online spaces where high achievers gather. Learn from them, collaborate with them, and let their standards raise yours. When you can see that your actions are leading to results, even small ones, you're far more likely to stay consistent. That's why tracking your progress is such a powerful tool. Whether it's a habit tracker, a calendar, a checklist, or a digital dashboard, find a system that visually shows how far you've come. Cross off each day you stay consistent. Record every milestone you hit. Measure the results of your effort. This isn't just about data, it's about psychology. Seeing progress releases dopamine, the motivation chemical in your brain. That small reward reinforces the behavior, making you more likely to repeat it. Over time, your progress becomes self-sustaining. Celebrate small wins, not just big goals. One of the most common motivation mistakes is waiting to celebrate until you've reached the final goal. The problem with that approach is it can take months or even years to reach that milestone, and your motivation will likely fade long before then. Instead, celebrate the small victories along the way. Every step forward is worth acknowledging. Did you work out consistently this week? Celebrate it. Did you hit a small revenue goal in your business? Celebrate it. Did you write a chapter of your book? Celebrate. These small celebrations create positive emotional reinforcement. They remind you that progress is happening and that your efforts matter. Motivation doesn't come from the final result, it grows from the journey itself. Practice self-compassion on low-energy days. Even the most motivated people have off days. There will be times when you feel tired, uninspired, or overwhelmed, and that's okay. The key is not to judge yourself harshly for it. Instead, practice self-compassion and focus on doing something, even if it's less than usual. Beating yourself up for being unmotivated only drains more energy, but giving yourself grace while still taking small actions keeps your momentum alive. A 50% effort is still better than a short workout is better than none. A page written is better than a blank one. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Motivation is a long-term game, and self-compassion is what keeps you in it. Motivation is built, not found. The biggest shift you can make is understanding that motivation isn't something you find, it's something you build. It's a result of clear goals, strong purpose, disciplined habits, and an environment that supports your success. Every small action you take builds momentum. Every system you create reduces resistance. Every win you celebrate reinforces the habit. Motivation isn't a spark you wait for, it's a fire you feed daily. And the more you feed it, the brighter it burns. Master the art of consistency. The foundation of lasting motivation isn't bursts of energy, it's consistency. Most people think motivation comes first, and consistency follows, but it's often the other way around. Consistency it keeps your motivation alive. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen the habit of action, and with time, that habit fuels motivation naturally. The reason consistency is so powerful is that it builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. When you consistently follow through on your promises, your brain learns to believe in your abilities. You stop questioning whether you'll stick with something and start knowing you will. That self-trust is a key ingredient of daily motivation. To build consistency, focus less on intensity and more on frequency. It's better to do 20 minutes of focused work every day than 3 hours once a week. It's better to take small daily steps toward your goals than to wait for big leaps. The habit of showing up is worth more than any single effort. Use habits as motivation multipliers. Motivation becomes effortless when your actions are built into your daily habits. A habit is something you do without thinking, and when you align your habits with your goals, growth happens on autopilot. Here's how to build habits that stick. Then start small. Begin with actions so small they feel almost too easy. This reduces resistance. Stack habits. Attach a new habit to an existing one. For example, after brushing your teeth, read 10 pages. After morning coffee, write 200 words. Make it obvious. Use visual cues like setting your workout clothes out the night before to remind you of the habit. Make it rewarding. Reward yourself for completing the habit to create positive reinforcement. The goal is to make progress automatic. When your habits align with your goals, you don't need to get motivated. You simply follow your routine, and results follow naturally. Transform obstacles into opportunities. Most people lose motivation when they encounter obstacles, but high achievers see obstacles differently. They see them as part of the process. Challenges are not roadblocks. They are training ground. Every difficulty you face is a chance to grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. If something is slowing you down, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Maybe the obstacle is teaching you patience. Maybe it's pushing you to develop a new skill. Maybe it's forcing you to become more resourceful. When you view challenges this way, they stop draining your motivation and start fueling it. Instead of seeing them as reasons to quit, you see them as reasons to push harder, and that shift in perspective changes everything. Reconnect with your why regularly. Even the strongest motivation can fade over time if you don't stay connected to your purpose. That's why it's essential to revisit your why often. Your why is the emotional fuel behind your goals, the deeper reason you're doing this in the first place. Here's a powerful exercise. Once a week, sit down and write out why you're pursuing your goal. Go deeper than surface-level reasons. Instead of "I want to make more money," write "I want to build a life where I can support my family, travel freely, and design my own schedule." Instead of "I want to get fit," write "I want to feel strong, confident, and full of energy every day." Reconnecting with your why reignites your emotional drive. It reminds you of the bigger picture, and that reminder is often all you need to keep going. Use visualization to stay focused. Your brain is a powerful tool for motivation if you use it intentionally. One of the most effective techniques for staying motivated is visualization, the practice of vividly imagining yourself achieving your goals. When you visualize success in detail, your mind begins to believe it's possible. That belief triggers motivation. The clearer the vision, the stronger the drive. Visualization also helps your brain filter opportunities and resources that align with your goals. It literally primes your mind to find ways to succeed. Spend a few minutes each day imagining your future self living the life you're working toward. Feel the emotions of that success. See yourself crossing milestones, achieving goals, and enjoying the results of your hard work. When you regularly connect with that vision, you'll stay motivated to keep moving toward it. Protect your energy like a resource. Motivation isn't just about mindset. It's also about energy management. You can't stay motivated if you're constantly exhausted, distracted, or burned out. That's why protecting your physical and mental energy is essential. Here are a few ways to do that. Prioritize sleep. Motivation suffers when you're sleep deprived. Treat rest as part of your success strategy. Fuel your body. Nutrition directly impacts focus, mood, and drive. Eat foods that support sustained energy. Move regularly. Physical movement boosts motivation and reduces stress. Even short walks make a difference. Limit energy drains. Reduce time spent on social media, negative conversations, and activities that don't align with your goal. Energy is the foundation of motivation. Protect it fiercely, because without energy, even the best intentions fade. Iteration rituals. By creating daily rituals that trigger motivation, you can make it easier to get into a productive state. A motivation ritual could be as simple as playing a specific song before you work, reviewing your goals every morning, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for before starting your day. These small rituals act as mental switches. They signal your brain that it's time to focus, take action, and move forward. Over time, these rituals become powerful anchors that keep you consistent. Even on tough days, They'll help you reconnect with your purpose and push through resistance. The power of momentum. One of the greatest secrets of motivation is momentum. It's much easier to keep moving once you've started than it is to start from zero. That's why taking small, consistent actions is more important than waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Momentum builds motivation like a snowball rolling downhill. Small actions accumulate into massive progress. The more progress you make, the more motivated you feel. And the more motivated you feel, the more progress you make. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. Your job is simple: keep the momentum alive. Even if it's just one small step a day, keep moving forward. Because once momentum is on your side, motivation becomes unstoppable. Build an unshakable self-image. The way you see yourself shapes the way you act, and the way you act determines how motivated you stay. If deep down you believe you're lazy, inconsistent, or incapable, your behavior will reflect that, even if you try to push yourself. But if you start seeing yourself as disciplined, driven, and unstoppable, you'll naturally act in alignment with that identity. This is why lasting motivation is deeply connected to self-image. You must start thinking and speaking about yourself as the type of person who follows through. Replace limiting language like "I'm not motivated" with "I'm someone who shows up even when I don't feel like it." Instead of saying "I always procrastinate," say "I'm learning to take action quickly." Identity-based motivation is powerful because your brain doesn't like inconsistency. Once you've declared who you are, it will do everything it can to make your actions match that identity. The stronger and more positive your self-image becomes, the easier it is to stay motivated every day. Redefine success as daily progress. Many people lose motivation because they're chasing outcomes that feel distant or overwhelming. They measure success only by the end goal, the money in the bank, the body transformation, the finished project. And when progress is slow, they feel like they're failing. But the most motivated people redefine success. They don't measure it by distant results. They measure it by daily progress. If they did their workout today, they've succeeded. If they wrote 500 words, they've succeeded. If they took one small step toward their goal, they've succeeded. This mindset keeps motivation alive because you're constantly winning. You stop feeling like success is out there in the future and start realizing it's something you're achieving every single day. And that feeling of consistent progress builds unstoppable momentum. If you want to stay motivated long-term, you need to stop chasing feelings and start building systems. A system is a structured routine or process that keeps you moving forward, regardless of how you feel. For example, if you want to write a book, your system might be writing for 45 minutes every morning before work. If you want to get fit, your system might be going to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday no matter what. And nothing motivates you more than seeing real results from your effort. Every time you're pulled away from your goals by social media, negativity, or meaningless tasks, your mental energy and focus are drained, and motivation becomes harder to sustain. To protect your motivation, you must ruthlessly eliminate distraction. Start by auditing your environment. Which apps steal your time? Which people drain your energy? Which habits keep you stuck in procrastination? Then build barriers between those distractions and your goals. Delete apps you don't need. Set strict boundaries with negative people. Schedule focused work blocks with no notifications. The more you reduce friction, the easier it becomes to stay motivated. Motivation thrives in an environment where focus is protected. Surround yourself with motivation multipliers. Motivation is contagious. The people you spend time with, the conversations you have, the content you consume, they all shape your mindset. If you surround yourself with negativity, laziness, and excuses, your motivation will slowly die. But if you immerse yourself in ambition, growth, and positivity, your motivation will skyrocket. This doesn't mean you need to cut everyone out of your life. It means you need to be intentional. Follow people who inspire you. Listen to podcasts that fuel your mindset. Join communities that hold you accountable. Spend time with people who challenge you to aim higher. Your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you back. Choose to build one that pulls you forward, one that keeps your fire alive even when things get tough. Practice the 5-minute rule. One of the simplest ways to overcome procrastination and reignite motivation is the 5-minute rule. The idea is simple. When you don't feel like starting, commit to doing the task for just 5 minutes. More often than not, once you start, momentum takes over and you keep going. The hardest part of any task is the beginning, and the 5-minute rule makes starting so easy that resistance loses its power. This technique works because action precedes motivation. Waiting to feel motivated before you act is a trap, but taking even a small action creates motivation. Once your brain sees that you're moving, it rewards you with energy and focus to continue. Build mini deadlines and accountability. Another powerful motivation tool is accountability. When no one knows whether you're following through, it's easy to quit. But when someone is watching, even if it's just a friend, mentor or online audience, your motivation skyrockets. Set small, frequent deadlines for yourself. Instead of one big deadline 6 months from now, create weekly or even daily checkpoints. Tell someone about them. Share your progress publicly. Accountability creates pressure, and pressure fuels action. Remember, pressure isn't a bad thing. It's a force that pushes you past excuses and into execution. Use it intentionally, and it will keep your motivation high even on days when you'd rather give up. Celebrate the small wins. Motivation grows when it's fed, and one of the best ways to feed it is by celebrating small victories. Too many people rush past their wins without acknowledgement, always focused on what's next. But taking time to recognize your progress reinforces the belief that your efforts matter. Celebrate every milestone, no matter how small. Finished a chapter. Celebrate. Hit a new personal best at the gym. Celebrate. Made a sale, even a small one. Celebrate. Each celebration strengthens your connection to the process and makes you excited to keep going. Remember, success isn't one giant leap. It's a series of small, consistent steps, and every step is worth celebrating. Motivate others to motivate yourself. One of the most unexpected ways to boost your own motivation is to inspire someone else. When you share what you're learning, encourage others, or help someone stay accountable, you reinforce those same principles in your own life. Teaching, coaching, or supporting others turns motivation from something you chase into something you create. And as you help others rise, you rise with them. It's a powerful reminder that motivation isn't just about you, it's about the impact you can make. And that deeper sense of purpose keeps your fire burning even when things get tough. Create a clear vision that pulls you forward. Motivation is much easier to sustain when you have a powerful reason behind your actions. Most people struggle with consistency not because they're lazy but because they haven't defined a clear and compelling why. A strong vision doesn't push you, it pulls you. It makes discipline feel natural and effort feel meaningful. Take time to design a vivid vision of the future you're working toward. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What does your ideal day look like? That kind of person do you want to become? The clearer and more emotionally charged this vision is, the stronger its pull on your daily actions. When motivation fades, and it will return to this vision, remind yourself why you started and what's at stake if you quit. A powerful future is the ultimate fuel for present effort. Break big goals into small, motivating milestones. Big goals are inspiring, but they can also feel overwhelming. If your goal is too massive and distant, your motivation will fade before you ever reach it. That's why you need to break big goals into smaller, achievable milestones. For example, if your dream is to run a marathon, start by committing to running 2 kilometers a day. If you want to build a business, aim for your first 10 customers before worrying about. Every small milestone you hit builds confidence, momentum, and motivation. Each win tells your brain, I'm making progress. And progress is the most addictive motivator of all. It keeps you coming back, day after day, hungry to hit the next milestone. Replace pressure with purpose. There's a crucial difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure comes from fear of failure, judgment, or letting people down. Purpose comes from meaning, the desire to grow, to serve, to build something that matters. When your motivation is built on pressure, it's fragile. The moment things get tough, you'll want to quit. But when your motivation is driven by purpose, it becomes unshakable. Purpose is the deep internal fuel that keeps you moving forward, even when results are slow or obstacles appear. Ask yourself, who benefits when I stay consistent? Who suffers if I don't? What impact can I make if I follow through? When you tie your goals to something bigger than yourself, you'll discover a level of motivation that doesn't disappear under stress. Develop rituals that trigger motivation automatically. Motivation becomes far easier when it's tied to rituals, small repeated actions that signal to your brain it's time to get to work. Athletes, artists, and top performers all use rituals to shift their state and prime their focus. For example, over time they become automatic triggers. You'll feel ready to act simply by performing them. Instead of waiting for motivation to appear, you summon it through consistent habit. Learn to use pain as a motivator. We're often taught to seek pleasure as a source of motivation, the dream lifestyle, the rewards, the recognition. But pain can be just as powerful when used wisely. Most people avoid thinking about the consequences of inaction, but facing them directly can light a fire that pleasure alone cannot. Ask yourself, what will my life look like if I don't change? Picture the frustration, regret, or missed opportunities that will come from staying where you are. Let that discomfort push you to act. Humans are wired to move away from pain. By connecting your current inaction to a painful future, you give yourself another reason, often a stronger one, to stay consistent and motivate. Set non-negotiable standards. Motivated people don't rely solely on emotion. They rely on standards. They create non-negotiable rules for themselves, clear lines they will not cross. For example, I invest 10% of my income every month. These are not goals, they're identities. They're statements of who you are and how you operate. When something becomes non-negotiable, you don't debate it, you just do it. And every time you honor a standard, your self-respect and your motivation grows stronger. Build resilience through discomfort. Motivation fades when life gets hard, unless you've trained yourself to thrive under discomfort. Too many people give up the moment they face resistance, but those who consistently push themselves beyond their comfort zones build mental resilience, and resilience fuels sustained motivation. Start small. Wake up earlier than usual. Finish that extra set at the gym. Speak up when you'd normally stay silent. Each time you lean into discomfort instead of running from it, you build the inner strength to keep going when others stop. The truth is, success is uncomfortable, but once you stop fearing discomfort and start seeking it, motivation becomes second nature, because you no longer need life to be easy in order to move forward. Revisit and refine your goals regularly. Sometimes motivation fades not because we're weak, but because our goals no longer inspire us. Life changes, priorities shift. The target that once excited you might not matter as much anymore, and that's okay. Make it a habit to regularly revisit your goals. Ask yourself, does this still excite me? Is this still aligned with who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, refine your direction. Update your vision. Set a new target that truly energizes you. Motivation thrives on relevance. When your goals evolve alongside your growth, your drive stays fresh and powerful. Protect your energy like a resource. Finally, remember that motivation is directly tied to energy. You can't stay motivated if you're physically exhausted, mentally scattered, or emotionally drained. Motivation isn't just a mindset, it's also a state. Prioritize sleep, eat nutrient-rich foods, move your body daily, take breaks. Protect your mental space by reducing negativity and limiting exposure to draining environments. The higher your energy levels, the easier it is to sustain motivation, because you're not fighting against your biology. High performers don't just manage their time, they manage their energy. Do the same, and your motivation will become far more consistent and reliable. Turn motivation into a daily practice. Most people think motivation is something you feel, something that shows up when conditions are right. But in reality, motivation is something you build through consistent practice. Just like physical fitness, it's not something you achieve once and keep forever. It's something you strengthen every day. Treat motivation like a daily discipline rather than an occasional burst of inspiration. Spend a few minutes each morning focusing on your goals, visualizing your desired future, and reminding yourself of why you're doing what you do. Review your priorities before you start the day, and set a clear intention for what you're going to accomplish. This daily mental warm-up works like a muscle-building exercise. The more consistently you do it, the stronger your motivation becomes, and the more natural it feels to take action, even when conditions aren't perfect. Use visual cues to stay focused. The human brain is wired to respond to what it sees every day. If your environment doesn't remind you of your goals, it's easy to lose focus and forget why you started. That's why one of the most powerful motivation tools is also one of the simplest visual cues. Surround yourself with reminders of your mission. Put your goals on sticky notes and place them where you'll see them daily, on your bathroom mirror, fridge, or workspace. Create a vision board with images that represent your dream lifestyle. Save your top priorities as your phone wallpaper. These subtle reminders keep your goals front and center. They constantly nudge your mind toward action and prevent distractions from pulling you off course. Over time, they reprogram your environment to work for your motivation rather than against it. Learn the art of positive self-talk. Your inner dialogue is either your biggest motivator or your greatest saboteur. The way you speak to yourself determines how much energy and confidence you bring to your goal. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, criticism, and fear, motivation will evaporate quickly. But if it's empowering, supportive, and focused on growth, it will fuel your determination. Start paying close attention to the stories you tell yourself. Replace phrases like "I can't do this" with "I'm learning and getting better." Swap "I always fail" with "every setback is preparing me for success." Speak to yourself like a coach, not a critic. Over time, this shift in language rewires how you think. You'll stop waiting for motivation to appear and instead create it internally, because you'll believe you're capable of doing hard things. But what determines your level of motivation is how you interpret those challenges. Most people see obstacles as signs they're not good enough, or that the goal isn't meant for them. High achievers, however, see obstacles as proof they're on the right path and opportunities to grow strong. When you face resistance, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can this make me better? This simple reframe turns frustration into fuel. Instead of being discouraged by setbacks, you'll start to see them as part of the journey, essential steps on the path to success. The truth is, every obstacle you overcome increases your resilience, builds your character, and deepens your commitment. Each one conquered makes the next easier. And nothing is more motivating than realizing that every struggle is actually strengthening you. Keep your why visible and emotional. Your why is the emotional core of your motivation. It's the reason behind the work, the deeper purpose that makes the effort worthwhile. But too often, people lose touch with their why as they get caught up in day-to-day tasks. And when the why fades, so does the motivation. Make your why impossible to forget. Write it down and place it somewhere you'll see it every day. Visualize what achieving your goals will mean for your life, how it will change your family, your freedom, your happiness. Feel it deeply and often. When you stay emotionally connected to your purpose, motivation becomes more than a mental decision. It becomes a force. Even on difficult days, your why will push you to keep going, reminding you that the struggle is worth it. Set short-term challenges to reignite drive. Long-term goals are essential, but they can sometimes feel too far away to keep you excited. That's where short-term challenges come in. By setting mini deadlines or 30-day challenges, you give your brain something immediate to focus on, and that urgency can reignite your motivation. For example, commit to writing every day for 30 days, hitting a savings target in 1 month, or going to the gym 20 times this month. These short bursts of focused effort make the process feel more achievable and rewarding. Each challenge you complete builds confidence, momentum, and discipline, and that energy carries over into your bigger goal. Before long, you'll find that motivation is no longer something you need to search for. It's something you naturally generate through consistent wins. Make growth the goal, not perfection. One of the biggest motivation killers is the unrealistic pursuit of perfection. When you expect flawless results, you set yourself up for disappointment. Every mistake feels like failure, and every setback feels like proof you're not capable. The solution is to shift your focus from perfection to progress. Your job isn't to be perfect, It's to get better. Every day aim to improve by just one. Celebrate small improvements and see mistakes as valuable lessons rather than signs of weakness. When growth is the goal, motivation stays alive because there's always room to succeed. You stop fearing failure and start embracing the journey, and that makes it much easier to stay consistent long-term. Anchor motivation in daily identity habits. At the deepest level, motivation becomes sustainable when it's part of who you are. Instead of saying, "I want to be motivated to read," tell yourself, "I'm the type of person who reads every day." Instead of hoping to feel motivated to save money, affirm, "I'm a disciplined saver." This identity-based approach removes the need for constant willpower. Your actions become a reflection of who you believe yourself to be, not something you have to push yourself into. And once motivation is tied to identity, it becomes deeply ingrained and remarkably hard to lose. Take strategic breaks to sustain momentum. Motivation isn't about pushing non-stop. It's about maintaining momentum over time. And sometimes the most productive thing you can do is pause. Rest prevents burnout, restores creativity, and keeps your energy high for the long game. Plan regular breaks into your schedule. Step away from work to recharge, reflect, and re-inspire yourself. Use downtime to read, learn, or simply enjoy life. You'll return with renewed focus and stronger motivation because you'll be running a marathon, not a sprint. Make discipline your default. Motivation is powerful, but it comes and goes. Discipline is what carries you through the days when motivation feels absent. The key to staying motivated every day is to stop depending on temporary feelings and instead build an automatic discipline that runs whether you're inspired or not. Think of discipline as your safety net. It ensures you keep moving forward no matter what. When you make certain actions non-negotiable, like exercising, saving money, or working on your craft daily, you remove the need to constantly feel motivated. You just do what must be done. Ironically, that consistent discipline then reignites your motivation because you see results and momentum building. Focus on what you can control. A common motivation killer is obsessing over things you can't control. Other people's opinions, the economy, the timing of opportunities. When you direct energy toward uncontrollable factors, frustration grows and motivation dies. To stay driven, narrow your focus to what's within your control, your habits, your effort, your consistency, and your attitude. By mastering these controllables, you create progress regardless of external circumstances. And progress, even small, is one of the strongest motivators you'll ever experience. Use energy anchors throughout the day. Motivation isn't only about mental strategies, it's also about managing your physical and emotional energy. Create simple energy anchors throughout the day to reset and refuel your drive. Examples include doing a short breathing exercise, listening to a high-energy song, reviewing your goals during a midday slump. These quick anchors recharge your focus and motivation, ensuring you don't rely on sheer willpower to push through. Instead, you refresh yourself strategically and finish the day as raw as you started. Redefine failure as feedback. Fear of failure keeps many people stuck, unmotivated, and paralyzed. But the truth is, failure is inevitable on the road to success, and it's also invaluable. Each failure is a piece of feedback pointing you toward a better path. When you embrace failure as data instead of disaster, you no longer lose motivation when things go wrong. Instead, you ask, what can I learn? How can I adjust? What's my next step? This mindset keeps you moving, and that forward motion itself fuels motivation. Stay hungry by avoiding comfort zones. Comfort feels good, but it kills motivation. The moment you settle into routines that are too safe and predictable, your drive begins to fade. To stay motivated, you need to keep stretching yourself, reaching for new goals, and tackling bigger challenges. Seek out opportunities that scare you a little. Volunteer for the project that feels too big. Aim for a fitness goal you're not sure you can hit. Push your boundary. Growth keeps you hungry, and hunger keeps you motivated. Reconnect with gratitude. Gratitude might not sound like a motivation strategy, but it's one of the most effective. When you constantly focus on what you don't have, you feel frustrated and unmotivated. But when you intentionally recognize what's already good in your life, You shift into a mindset of abundance, and abundance energizes action. Start or end your day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be progress you've made, people supporting you, or simply the opportunity to work on your goals. Gratitude reminds you of the progress already achieved and keeps you motivated to continue building. Would you like me to move ahead and write part 10 final of how to stay motivated every day? You said, part 10 final. ChatGPT said, how to stay motivated every day, written and published by Audiobooks. A clear, deeply compelling vision of your future acts like a magnet. It pulls you forward even when things are difficult, even when your energy is low, even when you feel like giving up. Without vision, motivation fades because there's nothing bigger than the present struggle. With vision, every challenge feels worth it. Take time to design that vision in vivid detail. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What kind of person do you want to become? What does success look and feel like for you? Write it down. Revisit it daily. The clearer and more emotional your vision is, the stronger your daily drive will be. Motivation thrives when it has something meaningful to aim for. Create non-negotiable standards for yourself. People who stay motivated consistently don't rely on mood. They rely on standards. They set minimum daily actions they will never skip, no matter what. These non-negotiables become part of their identity. For example, I never go a day without reading 10 pages. I work on my goals for at least 1 hour every day. I never miss my morning routine. When you define and commit to these standards, you stop waiting to feel ready. Instead, you operate from who you are and what you stand for. This shift from motivation to identity-based action is what separates people who wish from people who achieve. Build a system that keeps you moving. Motivation is easier to maintain when your environment and systems support it. If everything around you is frictionless and designed to help you succeed, you don't need to force motivation. Momentum becomes automatic. Structure your days around habits that align with your goals. Keep distractions out of your workspace. Surround yourself with reminders of your mission. Automate as much as possible. A well-designed system doesn't rely on feelings. It keeps you moving forward regardless of how you feel. Celebrate small wins, but never settle. Celebration is fuel. Too often, people ignore their small victories and wonder why they lose motivation. Recognizing progress, no matter how small, reinforces your belief that effort works. It builds confidence, and confidence strengthens motivation. But while you celebrate, remember to never settle. Each milestone should remind you of how far you've come and how much more is possible. Celebrate progress, then raise the bar. That combination of gratitude and hunger keeps your fire alive for the long haul. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people. The people around you shape your mindset more than you realize. If you spend time with people who are negative, stagnant, or comfortable with mediocrity, your motivation will eventually shrink. But if you surround yourself with those who dream big, take action, and demand more of themselves, your standards and motivation rise to match theirs. Choose your circle intentionally. Follow people online who inspire you. Join communities that challenge you. Work with mentors who expect more from you. Motivation multiplies when you're part of an environment where ambition is normal. Make growth your lifestyle. The ultimate secret to staying motivated every day is to make growth a way of life. When self-improvement becomes part of your identity, something you do not because you have to, but because it's simply who you are, motivation stops being a struggle. Commit to becoming a little better every day. Learn something new. Push one step beyond your comfort zone. Reflect, improve, repeat. When growth becomes your default mode, motivation is no longer a question. It becomes the natural result of how you live. Your next chapter begins now. Motivation isn't a gift reserved for the lucky. It's a skill you build, and once you master it, it becomes a lifelong advantage. By clarifying your vision, raising your standards, designing supportive systems, and surrounding yourself with growth, you'll never again have to wait for inspiration to strike. You'll create it every single day. From this moment forward, choose to live with intention, choose to chase growth, choose to become the kind of person who wakes up with purpose, acts with discipline, and refuses to settle. Your future is built one motivated day at a time, and today is the perfect day to begin.